World War II killed 85 million people. That's the deadliest war in human history. Or at least, that's what most people think. Because if you go back far enough, you're gonna find wars that make World War II look small. Wars that wiped out entire countries, killed tens of millions of people, and may have even cooled the planet itself. So let's go find the worst war ever fought, starting in the jungles of Vietnam. The year is 1965. The Beatles are everywhere, color TVs are showing up in homes across America, and the US has just landed its first combat troops in a small country called Vietnam. The war had actually been going on since 1955, but now America was in it. The crazy thing is, America had the most powerful military on Earth. North Vietnam had a fraction of the manpower and old Soviet weapons. This should have been a quick win. It wasn't. The war dragged on for 20 years. So America did what big militaries do when they're losing, they escalated. The US dropped 8 million tons of bombs on Vietnam. That's more than every bomb dropped in all of World War II combined. They also sprayed 18 million gallons of a chemical called Agent Orange over the forests. The idea was to kill the trees so the enemy had nowhere to hide. It also poisoned hundreds of thousands of civilians. 500,000 Vietnamese babies have been born with birth defects from it, and kids are still being born sick today, 50 years after the war ended. Then there was napalm. It's a sticky, burning jelly that clings to skin and can't be put out. The US dropped 388,000 tons of it. There's a famous photo of a 9-year-old girl named Kim Phuc running down a road with her clothes burned off, screaming in pain. That photo helped turn the world against the war. But the Vietnamese fighters had their own style. They lived underground in a 150-mile network of tunnels with kitchens, hospitals, weapons stores, and meeting rooms hidden beneath the jungle. American soldiers, called tunnel rats, were sent into these pitch-black holes to clear them out. Most came back up changed forever, if they came back at all. Most of the dead never even picked up a weapon. In 1968, US soldiers walked into a village called My Lai and gunned down more than 500 unarmed villagers in one morning. Mostly women and children. About a third of the 3 million Vietnamese killed in the war were civilians like that. Soldiers on both sides got broken by it. About 58,000 Americans died in combat. After they came home, more US veterans died by suicide than were killed in the actual fighting. The war ended 50 years ago, but 300,000 tons of unexploded American bombs are still buried in the Vietnamese countryside. They still go off. They still kill farmers and kids every year. 3 million dead is still small compared to the next one. Rewind 50 years to a war fought in trenches no wider than a hallway, where soldiers got torn apart by machine guns and poison gas. The year 1914. Cars are still rare, most people have never seen a movie, Europe has been mostly peaceful for 100 years, and almost nobody alive remembers a major war. Then, a Serbian student shoots an Austrian prince in the head. Nobody really cared about either of them, but because of a tangle of military alliances, that one bullet pulled every major country in Europe into war. Within a month, 4 empires were fighting each other. Everyone expected it would be over by Christmas. 4 years later, 20 million people were dead. Here's why World War I was so much worse than anyone expected. The generals were old. They were trained back in the 1800s when wars were fought with cavalry charges and brave speeches. But the technology had changed. The machine gun could fire 600 bullets a minute. So when generals sent 10,000 soldiers running across an open field at the enemy, they got mowed down in seconds. The soldiers stopped charging. They started digging. Both sides carved out 25,000 miles of trenches across Europe, enough to wrap around the planet. And then, they sat in those trenches for 4 years, getting shelled, gassed, drowned in mud, and buried alive. The trenches were a special kind of hell. They were full of mud, dead bodies, lice, and rats the size of cats. When it rained, soldiers drowned in flooded ditches. When it didn't rain, they got trench foot, which is when your feet literally rot off because they've been wet for too long. Body lice spread trench fever, which infected over 1 million soldiers. Russia had a typhus outbreak that killed 2.5 million civilians on its own. Men went insane in the trenches. They gave it a name, shell shock. It was PTSD before they had a word for PTSD. Then there was the gas. Chlorine gas would burn out your lungs from the inside. Mustard gas would blister your skin and blind you. Soldiers described seeing a green cloud roll toward them and knowing they had 20 seconds to find their mask or die. And for what? Some battles were fought over a few hundred yards of mud. The Battle of the Somme stretched on for 5 months and killed 1 million men. By the end of it, the British had advanced 6 miles. Verdun was somehow worse. 300,000 dead over 10 months, all fighting over the same patch of dirt. But the real horror of World War I was what came after. The Spanish flu spread through the trenches and killed another 50 million people around the world. Russia collapsed into a communist revolution, Germany got buried under impossible debt and starvation, and the peace treaty was so unfair that another war was almost guaranteed. The world would get it 20 years later, and it would be much, much worse. Go back another 700 years, long before machine guns and gunpowder. The deadliest weapon on Earth was a horse and a man with a bow, and one man used both to kill 40 million people.